Good morning. Thank you for joining me this one final time during this Lenten season as we lift up those saints of the church who have gone before us, the great cloud of witnesses who are cheering us on in our lives of faith. Today, I will talk a little about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German theologian born in Breslau, Germany, in 1906. His father, Karl, was a professor of psychiatry and neurology at the University of Berlin and was one of the most prominent psychiatrists to oppose the T4 euthanasia program that was initiated by Hitler in 1939. The T4 program was a Nazi effort to eliminate those who were incurably ill, physically or mentally disturbed, disabled, emotionally distraught, simply very old. At the age of 17, Dietrich began to study theology and was influenced by this new theology of revelation, the revealing of God in our lives. It was developed by a number of theologians, chief amongst whom was Karl Barth. At the age of 25, he became a lecturer in systematic theology at the University of Berlin. Bonhoeffer spent a number of years then traveling from Berlin to other countries, teaching at the university, serving as a pastor of a German-speaking congregation in Barcelona, Spain, studying at Union Theological Seminary in New York, here in the States, serving as a pastor of two small German congregations in London, England. 1933, with Hitler's power increasing, Bonhoeffer became a leading spokesman for the Confessing Church, which was a resistance movement, a faith-based resistance movement against the Nazis. During these years, Bonhoeffer wrote many books. Two of his best known were Life Together and The Cost of Discipleship. The latter, probably the widest read of his works, focusing on the concept of grace, which is a free gift from Jesus, but it is not cheap. It is costly because it calls us out of our forgiveness to show love to our neighbor, not just to continue in our sin as free license. Grace is free indeed, and because of that generous gift, we're called to dedicate our lives to serving God's creation. As he continued to attract the attention of the Nazis, he considered taking refuge in the United States, but he returned to Germany after only 2 weeks here, writing to his sponsor, Reinhold Niebuhr, "I will have no right to participate in the reconstruction of Christian life in Germany after the war if I do not share the trials of this time with my people." He was arrested on April 5th, 1943. During his imprisonment, Bonhoeffer penned a number of correspondences which were published posthumously in 1953 in a book called Letters from Prison. Discovery of documents linking him directly to a failed attempt on Hitler's life in July of 1944 got him sent to the Buchenwald concentration camp and then to Schönberg prison. After leading a worship service on April 8th, 1945 at Schönberg, he was taken away to Flossenberg concentration camp to be hanged the next day. And today, April 9th, 2025, is the 80th anniversary of Dietrich Bonhoeffer's martyrdom as a Christian theologian and one who worked for the rights of others. His last words as he left were these: "This is the end, but for me the beginning of life." Bonhoeffer's life and writings have inspired people involved in faith-based resistance to many unjust systems, including apartheid in South Africa and in the reconstructing of church life in the reunified Germany in the late 80s. In our hymnal, Evangelical Lutheran Worship, hymn number 626, By Gracious Powers, was written by Bonhoeffer. To close my devotional time, I'd like to read the verses of this hymn to you. By gracious powers, so wonderfully sheltered and confidently waiting, come what may, we know that God is with us night and morning, and never fails to greet us each new day. Yet is this heart by its old foe tormented, by still evil days bring burdens hard to bear? O give our frightened souls the sure salvation for which, O Lord, you taught us to prepare. And when this cup you give is filled to brimming with bitter suffering, hard to understand, we take it thankfully and without trembling, out of so good and so beloved a hand. Yet, when again in this same world you give us the joy we had, the brightness of your Son, we shall remember all the days we live through, and our whole life shall then be yours alone. Once again, I thank you for joining me for these video devotions these past 5 weeks, as we have heard about some folks whose lives were faithful reminders and are continuing to be faithful reminders of God's love poured out for us all. And the call to respond to that love by loving others, even in the face of opposition and persecution. Lent is a reminder of the presence of sin in the world and in each one of us. And Holy Week is the acknowledgement of God's promise to heal this sinful world and each of us sinners through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Next week, our Maundy Thursday service will not be shared online through video. That time together is mostly centered around what we call an agape meal, and it's in our education wing. Join us at 6:30 for that in-person gathering. We would love to have you with us. We only come into the sanctuary at the very end of that time to strip the altar and the ambo for Good Friday. Good Friday service will be live streamed, so you can either join in person at 7 o'clock p.m. or on this YouTube channel. May God bless you this day.